we went to Joann's because she needed to get something at Joann's. And I just very much on a whim was like, I'm going to buy a sewing machine. And so I bought a cheap Singer, and she taught me how to like do a bobbin, and what a bobbin was, I didn't know. It's kind of how it started, on a whim.
I'm Amanda, and this is Not Your Granny's Quilt Show. Welcome to today's episode. I would love to welcome our guest, Julie of Running Stitch Quilts. I'm very excited to talk to you, so good morning.
Good morning. I'm excited to be here.
Yay. Yeah, I'm so glad we could nail down time. You're a mom. I saw that in your,
you
said that in your email, so you've got kids to run off to school and all that, so
Yeah.
I understand that. Our kid is older now.
How old is your kiddo?
Well, we have two, and the one is 20 and he's in the Space Force, and then we have another one, he's 17 and he's a junior in high school right now. So
very cool.
Yeah, so just one kid at home right now, but he's easy because he can take care of himself. So
mine are 5 and 2, so still a little bit in the weeds of it, but
yeah. 5 is so fun. I feel like that was my favorite age, being a 5-year-old. I loved being 5.
Oh, really?
That's so weird that I have like that memory of I loved being 5.
I can't remember being 5. It's too long ago for me.
Yeah. Got littles running around.
Yeah.
So what, I want to know your story. So I saw that you're an athletic trainer. Do you still do that?
Not anymore. I used to be. My husband is in the military, so the compounding effects of moving every couple of years and having very small children, and he's not home a lot. He works pretty long hours. It just made it really hard. So I stopped working athletic training and started quilting instead. And I actually just recently resigned my credentials. So I don't think I'm going to go back. I think I'm going to make this quilting thing a full-time thing.
That's awesome. I mean, not that you're, not that being an athletic trainer isn't awesome, but because I saw that in your, I think it was on your website, but
yeah,
it's like, oh my gosh, because I love lifting weights. I have a bestie that she's my lifting partner. We're we're always at the gym. So are you coming home ever? I'm like, sorry.
Yeah.
I have heavy stuff to move.
I like to run though, personally.
Really?
I'm more of a runner than a lifter.
Yeah. He's a runner too. So he's been running since he was a little kid.
Yeah.
He's done a couple marathons. He's done a bunch of half marathons. And so that's we love to get out and just be active together. But yeah,
that's important.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's kind of funny though, because with quilting, you're just sitting a lot. So I feel like I need to stand up. I got to do something.
I know. It's kind of the balance of I want my sewing machine far enough from my pressing station so I can get up and move around, but it slows you down a little bit too. Yeah. So gotta find that balance of.
Yeah. We in our studio where I sew with my mom, we we have the cutting table is really far away, across the room from the sewing machines, and then the pressing station you have to get up, and we do have a tiny one where we can do smaller pieces that's right next to one of the sewing machines, but most it's get up to use the iron. And my mom's a really active, she loves to be up and moving, and she goes on super long walks every day, and so we're both just we gotta get up, we gotta move around. So
I understand.
Yeah. So so you started quilting in 2014? Is that true?
Yes. I was working part-time at the time, and I needed a hobby because I didn't have kids yet, so you can only run so many times a day. So I needed something else to do. And this was in the height of Pinterest for me. So I kept pinning quilts, and I don't know why. No one in my family is a quilter. I don't know why I kept pinning quilts on Pinterest.
Yeah.
And so I went home to visit my mom, and we went to Joann's because she needed to get something at Joann's. And I just very much on a whim was like, I'm going to buy a sewing machine. And so I bought a cheap Singer, and she taught me how to like do a bobbin, and what a bobbin was, I didn't know. It's kind of how it started, on a whim. I honestly to this day don't know why I picked quilting. But here we are. Yeah.
There's just something so cool about it. I mean, even before I even touched a sewing machine, I just remember seeing fabrics and seeing patterns and just being like, this is so, like, I can't believe people make these. Like, that's really cool. That's funny that you're just like, I'm just gonna buy a sewing machine. I'm just gonna.
I'm just, this sounds fun. I'm gonna buy a sewing machine with no real plan in mind. It's just like, I'm gonna buy this and see what happens.
You're like, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that, because you're just like listening to your heart almost. Like, I don't know, I just feel like I want this. And
yeah. And I did all the things wrong in the beginning, and took me a while to figure it out, but
yeah. I think like sometimes you just have to mess a bunch of stuff up. Like, it doesn't matter if you have help or not. Like, I had tons of help and I still made so many mistakes. Like, I just look at some of my old quilts, this one included, behind me, because there's some stuff in this one that I'm like,
oh, it's pretty.
It looks great from a distance. Right? That's
all
all
it does. Yeah.
Yeah. They look great from a distance, but don't look too close. But yeah, I think like just really sticking to those tried and true things that, you know, you hear or you see in patterns or whatever, and you're like, I don't need to do that. And, you know, 5 years later, you're like, I should have done that.
Yeah.
But that's so fun. I love that you just like picked it up, and that's awesome. I think that's inspiring too, because it's like you weren't a sewer. It wasn't like it was surrounding you and you just were like, well, I picked it up because everybody else was doing it. It's like out of nowhere, which is so cool. And now look at you, like you've got these amazing patterns, you've got this awesome business. And
thank you.
I mean, I only recently found out about you because I had a client who wanted your mountain valley pattern.
Oh yeah.
And she wanted it in all pinks and purple. And I was like,
it's you made the queen size one, right? The really big one. I remember that. It's amazing.
Yeah, it turned out so cool. And I was just like, it's for some reason, just like the last 4 or 5 months, I've just been in this slew of making nothing but like sawtooth stars. And so that just was like added to it. I was like, okay, I guess this is my jam now. I just make sawtooth stars.
There's a lot of sawtooth star patterns out there right now.
Yeah, but it was so fun, and I just loved seeing all the blocks come together, and it was so well written. I was like, man, this is a good
Thank you.
Yeah, so
I like that one.
It turns out, so I was like, this is probably like my favorite quilt I've ever made, and it's not even mine, but
well, you should make one for you.
I want to. I really do. I have like a list of quilts I want to make for myself, but you know, when you have a business where you quilt for other people, it's kind of like, well, I'll fit it in someday.
You just make one block a day, and then it just adds up over time.
Yeah. I should start that. My mom is doing that. She likes to make string blocks, and so we'll just take strips of scraps from like quilts that we've made, and she makes a block for each quilt that we've made.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and so she's really good at staying on top of it. She's got this huge stack, and I've just got a pile of scraps waiting to be sewn into string blocks. I'm like,
I've been making scrappy quilts with like my fabric scraps, leader ender style, and it's amazing how fast that comes together.
Yeah.
So I just like do one start to end, like start and ending each chain piece, and then eventually a month later I have a whole quilt.
Whoa.
Without even like intentionally trying to like make a quilt. So
right. Yeah, that's a good idea. I just think I get so sucked into like, I got to do the job, I got to do the business stuff, and then I just forget about my own sewing. And then I don't really sew at my own house. We rent out part of our house as an Airbnb, and so what used to be the space where I would sew is now like common shared space, and I don't want to, you know, intrude on people's comfort of renting my house, but
take it over with quilt stuff.
Yeah, but we're kind of rearranging things, and like we just built an office in our garage, because there was like an extra kind of
Mhm.
space where we could do that and still park both of our cars in here and in there. And so I think I'll have some space upstairs where I can set up my sewing machine finally. But
Nice. Nice.
yeah, so that should be exciting for me, but we'll see if I actually do it.
Well, you have to sew for you so you don't get burned out on it.
Yeah, yeah. And I do. I find pockets like, and it's fun because like, you know, we've got a friend having a baby, so I've been working on a quilt for her, and
Yeah.
you know, I make little projects here and there. I'm about to make like I found like it's like a jumper dress. I've never made clothing in my life, but I was like,
Oh.
Mom, will you help me make this? She was like, sure. I just really want to make it. I don't know why.
Oh, garment sewing scares me.
Yeah,
I
it
don't know
scares me
why.
too, but my mom's been doing it forever. So I'm like, well, she can help me. She's
Yeah.
like, yes, like, why do you want this? I'm like, I don't know. I just do.
Have you jumped onto the quilt coat
I haven't
phenomenon?
made one yet, but I
Yeah.
do have plans for one. And I also have plans for making a quilt block that I'll put on the back of a denim jacket that I have.
Yeah. That's cute.
Yeah, we did make a jacket. We were like testing out the pattern that we were kind of coming up with because we took an old robe pattern that we had from like my mom made us all matching robes, like me, my grandma, and her. She made us all matching robes one year for Christmas. And so we just had it sitting around since I was in like high school.
Nice.
And so we cut it out in felt. And you know, just made like a template pattern out of that, and you know, shortened it and kind of brought the sleeves in a little and did some
Mhm.
things like tighten it up. But we made one for her mom for Christmas, and she loves it. So we're like, okay, we need to
That's
make
cool.
some quilt coats. But
Yeah.
I'm like, you do that. I'll like quilt the pieces, and then you put the coat together.
I know I really wanted, that was on my bucket list to make last year. And I bought the pattern and I cut out like a muslin to make the test version. And that's as far as I got. I just cut it out. I haven't actually done anything
Yeah.
else with it. It's sitting in a box upstairs.
Oh man. Yeah,
Someday.
it's a task. I mean, my mom has whipped them out really fast. She made some baby ones. They're super, super cute.
Oh, that's adorable.
Yeah. So it was fun. And it's just, you know, we're like, oh, we've got some scraps. We can test this out. And then they ended up actually really super cute. So we're like, ooh. They're
That's
in our
fun.
Etsy shop, but like nobody's bought them. I'm like, why aren't you buying these? They're so cute. But
I know. I'd be afraid I would buy it and then my kid would grow like 5 minutes later and then it wouldn't
right.
fit. Yeah.
I know. I think that's probably it. But also,
Because something that cute, you wanted to wear it for longer.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
I almost want to make like bigger versions so that like, you know, people can buy them when their kids are young, still little, and then they can kind of grow into them.
Grow
Whereas
into it a little bit. Yeah.
the ones we made were like, you know, infant size. They're small. So,
That's so really cute.
oh, cute.
If my babies were that little, I would buy one.
Yeah. They're so cute. She just like made them in like an hour. And I was like, that's rude. But
That's impressive.
yeah, she's so fast. I'm like, I don't understand, man. Sometimes I'm like, I feel so slow when we're sewing at the same time. I'm like, what is wrong with me?
What does she do that makes her so fast?
I literally have no clue what she's doing. I think it's just she's been sewing like probably longer than I've been alive. So
Less Instagram breaks.
yeah, she's not running our social media and our Etsy shop, and she just gets to sew. I do
Yeah.
all that stuff. I'm like,
Lucky.
yeah, it's good. No, yeah, I just think she's been doing it for so long. So, but it inspires me. I'm like, okay, I like kind of watch her and I'm like, okay, I can change this about what I do and like make that
Mhm.
faster, whatever. But anyway,
Yeah.
did you suck your mom into quilting at all when you started, or?
Um, not really. She actually made me a couple t-shirt quilts from like my high school shirts and then my college shirts.
Yeah.
So she had done that for me before I started quilting.
Oh,
So I said the one of my family quilts, and she doesn't really quilt, but she did make those for me
yes.
when I was younger. But no, she doesn't. I think she's tried it a couple times. I don't think she has the attention span for it to
Yeah.
sit in one spot and like sew. She takes pictures, so she likes to
Oh, Oh,
Yeah. So that's her creative outlet.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess like what got you started in deciding to design patterns and move into that sphere?
Um, well, truthfully, when I first started quilting, I didn't really know patterns were a thing.
Mm.
As again, I said I was pinning all these things on Pinterest, and they were all tutorials on how to make a half square triangle or how to make a sawtooth star. And so my version of quilting in my head was like, oh, you learn how to make these basic blocks and you do it yourself. You put these patterns together yourself. That's kind of what I thought you were supposed to do.
Yeah.
So I might have been quilting for several months before I realized you could like buy a pattern and someone does this math for you and just tells you how to make the thing. And that was kind of eye-opening for me. It was like, oh, I don't have to figure it out. I can like just look at someone else's instructions. And so I did that for a while, just on some basic stuff. And then my youngest was born, or my oldest was born, and she was a baby. And I was kind of thinking like, well, I could make a pattern and I could sell it and that'd be cool. And so I with really no idea what it was going to look like or all the work involved in writing a pattern. I had no idea what I was getting myself into.
Yeah.
Yeah, just trying to figure it out one step at a time and slowly made some mistakes along the way. If I could go back and do it again, I think it'd be a smoother process, but
Sure.
yeah, it's
So
been fun.
That's so cool. That's what learning's all about though, right? Making those mistakes and then moving on and doing it better the next time. And
Yeah.
that's so fun. So how many patterns total do you have now?
Oh gosh, 10 or 12? I could count. I don't know. I'm gonna say 12, I think.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Which one is your favorite, do you think? Or which one like holds a piece of your heart that just kind of stays as your favorite? Or do you have one?
The last one I did is usually my favorite.
Yeah.
So I just released Chevron Points last week, 2 weeks ago, very recent. And that one's been pretty successful for me. So that's kind of fun just to like, got popular on Instagram for a few days. So that was kind of fun. I don't know. I forget about patterns and then I see them someone will make it on Instagram and I'm like, oh, I love that one.
Yeah.
So I don't know. They're all my babies. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, so when you made the Mountain Valley, I was like, oh, I love that pattern. I should make it again.
Yeah.
Or I see another one. I'm like, oh, I love that one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I can imagine it would be so fun to see, your pattern, but like other people's interpretation of it. And
that's the best part, I think.
yeah.
I love seeing other people's fabric choices, especially when there's not something that I would necessarily choose. I love seeing how people put that together. And it's really fun when they make it better than mine. Like, dang it, I should have thought of that. But, yeah. Yeah. But that's the best part, is seeing other people's interpretation of your pattern.
Yeah, that's so cool. I love because I've tested some patterns, some quilt patterns, and just seeing like what other people come up with, because I'm like, I get a vision in my head, like, okay, this is the fabric I want, this is what I want to do with it. And then seeing what other people come up with, I'm like, oh, actually, maybe I want to do that, or oh, maybe I should have done it with that fabric. But yeah, I think that's the fun part, is like you can just make them again. Yeah, really too.
And I think it's interesting when you see different fabric choices, how it changes the overall look of the pattern. If people use a dark background or different patterns together, I don't know, it changes the whole look of it. And I think it's cool to see them all side by side.
Yeah, that's fun. I love seeing these are all the the testers quilts of this pattern.
Yeah.
And just seeing them all together. It's like, oh my gosh, like it does dramatically change the quilt sometimes. And you tested for Fran recently, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I saw your quilt in one of her carousels, and I think yours was like right after the black and white one that was in that, and I was like, oh my gosh, and I saw yours and I was like, oh my gosh, they're so beautiful. I love it.
She writes a great pattern. She's one of my favorite pattern writers.
Really, I haven't tested any or made any of her patterns yet, but
her layouts are always really clean and they're just nice. They're well written. Yeah.
Yeah, she's I love her stuff. She's so cute. But
She told me that I bullied her into writing that pattern, which is not true. I gently encouraged.
I know she keeps saying, like, with Julie's encouragement, if it wasn't for Julie, I'm like, who's this Julie? I'm like, oh, I'm talking to her. It's fine.
Yes. Well, she sent me a picture and I was like, are you going to write that? And she's like, probably not. I'm like, well, you should.
Yeah.
And then it kept coming up. I'm like, well, have you written it yet? And she's like, no. I'm like, well, you should.
Just do it. Why not?
Yeah. Yeah.
If you hate it, you don't have to publish it. Like,
Yeah. But it's so good. So
it turned out so good. Like,
yeah.
it's great. Yeah, I do want to make that one. Ooh, that one.
It's the first quilt I made on my new sewing machine. And I thought that my 1/4 inch seam was accurate. It was not. It's a medallion style quilt. And so you learn really fast when your seam is not super accurate.
Like,
so that was fun.
You're like, wait
a minute.
lining up.
This isn't fitting together, right? Yeah.
It's the worst. Oh yeah, the sewing machine I use is like the standard foot on it isn't a 1/4 inch, and so I learned pretty fast on that one that it was like, I'm like, why are these seams so big? And I was like, oh, because the 1/4 inch is over here, so I like have to move the needle over every time, and like,
yeah,
it's so silly. I'm like, what? Why isn't it just a standard 1/4 inch foot? Like, why isn't that a thing? But
why is it so hard all the time?
I know there's so many stupid little things that I'm like.
But once you get it and it's set, and then you're like, you're good to go.
Yeah, it's just those initial struggles that you're like, seriously.
Well, I did the whole thing where you sew three pieces of fabric together to test the seam, make sure it's accurate, and I did that. So I don't know where I went wrong, or how I was inaccurate a day later. But I got squared away now. We're good.
Oh, that's good. Oh, just those things that make you go.
Yeah, exactly.
Palm to the face, because why? Yeah, it's just like, I think I say it a lot because I'm like, you're gonna just mess up. Like, I don't know, even if you've done it a million times, like, you're still gonna mess up at some point, and just get okay with it and be like, yes, I'm best friends with my seam ripper, and it's fine.
Everyone is.
Yeah. And if they say they're not, they're lying.
That is true.
I've never met a single person who doesn't seam rip at least once a quilt.
Yes.
It's a lot. It's a lot. But it's like, a lot.
I'll let a lot of things go, or I'll fudge some seams a little bit, but inevitably I will like be sewing the rows together, and that's when I make a mistake. So I got to seam rip like 60-inch line.
Right. So like, wow, that would have been cool if I did that right the first time.
So I do it once a quilt. I sew the rows backwards every single time. I don't know what I'm doing, why I do this. I'm like, I'm not gonna make this one mistake, and then I make the mistake every time.
You're too focused on it.
Apparently, I have to just get it out of my system, I think.
Yeah, you're like, here's my one mistake. I guess it's done now. Oh my gosh. Do you long arm at all?
I do not. No, I will send it to a long armer to avoid basting it.
Yeah, that's basting. I don't know. We don't baste our quilts on for our long arm, so we just like load it on the machine, which is so nice.
So nice.
You don't have to do it. Which, every time I see people like, I'm basting my quilt, I'm shoving it through my domestic machine. I'm like, you are nuts. I would never.
I mean, I don't mind doing some straight line quilting on a throw size. Anything bigger than that, I'm going to send it out. Yeah. And I also send out my cover quilts just so it looks nice. So I probably quilt half my own quilts and then send out half of the other half. Yeah.
I don't know. I just do not have the patience to sit there and just like push it through a domestic machine. That's not, I don't know. I think because I started long arming first and I didn't quilt on a domestic at all ever. So I think I'm just spoiled, but
that's lucky.
It's a lot of time and just rearranging the quilt, and I'm just like, I don't have the patience for that. I want to just like zip it on the machine, set the computer and let it stitch its thing out. Because
If I had the space for a long arm and the patients learn how to use it,
yeah,
I would love to try that. But,
yeah, they're crazy. It's fun. Like, I mean, we started just with free motion quilting because that's like what they teach you at the quilt shop. And so we were just, just doing meandering and loops and, right stuff. But once we got the computer, like we got our own machine and got the computer, I was like, oh, game changer.
it's like a whole new world opens
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. So when I was doing that Mountain Valley quilt, I think I messaged you and I was like, what pantograph is on your cover quilt? Because
Yes.
my client wanted, she's like, I want that one. I was like, okay.
Yeah. I don't remember. It was a swoosh of some sort.
It's called Mike's Swoosh.
Mike's swoosh. Yes. I don't know. I use Jill Johnson from J Coterie for most of my long arm quilting. She does all my covers. I just let her pick.
Yeah. They look good. I'm just like, man.
She does a great job.
Yeah. And they fit the quilts so good and just, they look really nice. So yeah, that's awesome. That's so nice when you can find a long armor that you trust and like, you can just feel like, here you go. I know you're going to make this look good and just like, not worry about it.
Yeah, she's not picked wrong yet. So
that's awesome. Yeah. And that pantograph was fun. It's so like when I first saw it, like the pattern itself, I was like, what even is this? Because when you buy the pattern, it looks just like a swooshy like triangle.
Oh.
You have to like build a bunch together and like offset the rows and nest them because like the top kind of curves up. And so you nest it to touch the one above it to like go right into the it was kind of wild, but like once I said it, I was like, oh, there it is. I was like,
it makes sense.
Yeah. That's another thing that like people who design long arming patterns, I'm like, I don't just like knowing how to like create that continuous line and then get it to connect, like I don't know.
That's a whole other skill set.
That's like completely different game. Yeah. Like I can, fancy up a pattern and like figure out something out for myself if I want to like create my own thing. I'm not going to write patterns probably ever, but I know enough basics to kind of come up with something if I want something unique. But yeah, I just love a well-written pattern where the math is already done for me and I can just follow the directions.
Exactly. That's the best part.
Yeah.
That's why I enjoyed testing Fran's pattern recently, because I didn't have to think about it. I could just like follow her directions.
Yeah. You were
kind of some mindless sewing for a few days.
Yeah, that's nice because then you're just like, I'm not the one creating this. I'm just sewing.
Like I don't have to worry about it. I can just make some notes, pass it along. Yeah.
Like you fix this. It's your problem.
Exactly.
Not mine, yours. Love you. Bye.
Exactly.
Oh man. I can imagine, like just from talking to her, I can imagine that, she's meticulous and I can't wait to get my hands on hers. And I want to make chevron points. I saw that and I was like, oh man, this is on my list.
It's faster than it looks, I think.
Yeah.
It's faster than Mountain Valley.
That's
give you that.
I mean, the Sawtooth Stars. I was like, okay, I love these, but I'm so done making them. Just because I had just come off a quilt that was all Sawtooth Stars.
Oof.
And then I had to make a bunch of flying geese for the pattern I was testing for Katerina right in that same time. Then I just recently made the same Sawtooth Star quilt that I made before I made Mountain Valley. I was like, what am I doing to myself? Why am I doing this?
Apparently you love trimming flying geese.
Apparently, because I keep doing it.
But the end result is so nice.
I know, and that's the thing. I'm like, I love how it looks when it's done. So I'm like, oh, I'll just keep my mouth shut and just keep sewing because I love the look of it. And like, it's so fun that you can have like a feature. And that's what I even thought about with Mountain Valley is like, okay, when I make my own, I want to like fussy cut something to be in the middle of the stars.
One of my testers did, she did a really cool one. All of her yellow, she did the stars yellow, I think, but they were all a little bit different. It like sparkles. It's really cool.
Oh,
I'll have to see if I can find it. It's like yellow and then it's got some like dusty blues, I think. I don't remember now, but
that would be so pretty. I know. I think that's like the fun thing too, is there's so many possibilities with it. Yeah.
mhm.
So I will make that one for myself eventually,
Yeah.
but Chevron Points this one too. I'm like, yeah. And I think too, I get stuck like, oh, it's gonna have to make these big quilts and it's gonna be this big endeavor. And I never think to just like make a throw size or, make a smaller size of the quilt. Cause I'm like,
Yeah.
obviously I want them to cover my entire body and be burritoed in it. Like, I'm like, no, I can make smaller ones.
I'm working on a new pattern and I texted a friend yesterday. I'm like, is 72 by 80 too big for a throw size? She was like, yes. Like, She's like, it's practically a bed size. I'm like, nah, well.
I mean, yeah. I know. I thought like, I'm like, oh, a throw size, that's good. And it's like we'll have clients that request a throw size. I'm like 65 by 75. I'm like, wait, what? And we're like 50 by 65. I'm like, that is too small. And then I'm like, no, back off. Like it's
The range of throw size though is so big. It can be.
I know, it's like one person's throw is like 40 by 50 and another person's throw is like, yeah, like 72 by 80. I'm like,
Which apparently was too big for a throw size quilt, she says. So I made it smaller, but
rude.
Yeah. I think it ended up being 58 by 62. So
that's a good size. That's a nice.
Yeah.
I think like I'm not super tall, but like as a sort of tall person, when I see something that's less than 60 inches, I'm like,
yeah.
Like it's smaller than me. I don't want it.
Give it to the kid. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like,
That's a good fort blanket. Yeah.
Right. I know. I made quilts for my boys like probably 4 Christmases ago.
Mm-hmm.
And just, in themes that they loved. And I was like, this will be fun. And I put them together and I was like, oh, these are good size. But now, like, I mean, the older one, he's not as tall, but our younger one, he is like 6'2", I think.
Oh, wow.
Now the quilt is like comically small for him. And I'm like, maybe when he graduates, I'll make him a new quilt. But
that's funny. Yeah. My oldest, every time she sees a new quilt on my wall, she's like, is that for me? I'm like, no, baby, it's not. This is for mommy's work. She's like, is that one for me? Like I just made her like a bed size quilt and I let her pick the fabric and like the whole thing.
Yeah.
And she's still, is that one for me? No.
Yeah.
I may need one. Go use that one.
Yeah, you're like, you have yours. Go settle that one. I'll let you know next time we make you a quilt.
It's like, next time, can you make me a rainbow? I'm like, listen.
Pump the brakes.
We'll see.
Right? It's like, I think too, like as a little kid, since my mom sewed, I would just ask her to make all these things. And, she did 99% of the things I asked. But now that I'm actually a sewist and I know what it goes into it, I'm like, thank you so much.
I know.
I really, really appreciate everything you did for me. And I'm sorry that I seemed ungrateful probably, but I really am grateful because those are like the greatest memories, right?
Mm-hmm.
My mom made this for me, it feels super, super special. And especially as an adult now, I can look back and be like, man, that is so cool and so unique. Like not everybody has a mom who can just make them stuff. And like,
yeah, definitely.
So I love that when, you can make something special for your kid that they pick. And
yeah. Well, I hope she enjoys it as she gets older. I mean, she's still kind of little to really appreciate these things.
Yeah.
But I mean, I still have a quilt, or not quilt, it's a blanket my grandmother crocheted. So I still have the blanket she crocheted me as a 5-year-old. I think I was very little. So yeah, I still have that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
My great grandma crocheted and she made like little doll blankets and she actually made these. I loved them. She like attached a baby doll and would like crochet the clothing around the baby and then the blanket blanket would be like around it attached.
Oh,
It was like all one bundle, so you could like swaddle the baby and it was just like in its
that's fun.
all the time. And I had a couple of those, and yeah, I just have like, and now they're like at my mom's house. I have a couple packed away as like keepsake kind of things, and
Hmm.
but some of them are, we keep them at my mom's house for my nieces and nephew to play with. And
That's really cool.
it's, yeah, it's just like those special handmade things. It's like they're so fun. And like whenever I gift a quilt to somebody, I'm like, please use this. Like, don't tuck
Yes.
it away. Don't put it in a closet. Like, it can be washed. It's okay if, if something happens to it, I'll fix it, like,
Like, I want you to wash it. It gets softer.
yeah, I'm like, I don't know if you know this, but quilts get better every time you wash them.
Yes.
Yeah. So that is something I preach it, because I'm like, man, all that work and effort is going into making something for you, like,
I agree.
to use and love, and like, don't tuck it away.
I gave a quilt to one of my friends for her birthday a few years ago, and still occasionally text me a picture of them using it, just like proof of use picture.
They're like, see,
I love it. Yeah.
that's awesome. Oh yeah, my friend will do that because she had a baby, and I made her a quilt and just kind of picked different. I just took like half yards and like just put them together in big
Mhm.
rectangles. And he was born close to Halloween, and Halloween is her absolute favorite, and so they're all kind of blacks and oranges, but not like Halloweeny. And
Yeah.
I did this pantograph we have that's like gourds and pumpkins, but there's like jack-o'-lanterns in it, and so
Aw.
it's super cute. But then occasionally she'll send me pictures of him like laying on it, or him like in his little bouncy seats, like covered in it while he's drinking his bottle, and I'm like, yay.
That's so cute. I think it should be a rule, like a standard. Everyone knows this rule. If you were given a quilt for your baby, you have to take a picture of the baby on the quilt
Yeah,
for the person. Like,
yeah, like I need to see that your child is enjoying this thing that I made for them, please.
and also it's just cute. Like a baby on a quilt is just cute. So
Yeah,
if you have a quilt and a baby, put them together and take a picture.
yeah,
It's very cute.
I know. My friend Miranda, who started this podcast with me, but she has a few friends who've had babies recently, and she's also a photographer. And they like are like, hey, can you come take baby pictures? And so of course
Mhm.
she's like, I'm gonna put my quilt in this picture with your baby, and we're gonna put this everywhere online.
Yes.
I'm like, that's
Yes.
handy that you do both, so you can force them to use your quilts in their pictures.
I know.
I'm
That's
doing it.
funny. The what's it, babies on quilts hashtag on Instagram is surprisingly popular.
Really?
When my
Oh,
youngest was born, I put a picture of her on my Instagram, like, here's why I haven't been around picture.
Mhm.
And I use that hashtag and it still gets attention. It's been 2 years now, 2.5 years. I'm
yeah.
like, geez, people like the hashtag. Yeah.
I mean, it is cute. I think like because I don't have babies, like it's like a different world to me. So I'm like, I don't know. That's awesome though. Because why not?
It's-
Babies on quilts is cute.
yeah.
So you said your husband's in the military and you guys move around a lot. Like, are you guys moving again soon, or are you staying put for a while?
Well, we currently live in Michigan and we'll probably be here for another year or so. That's kind of what I'm uh, planning on, I guess.
Mm,
And then we'll see after that.
yeah.
I don't know yet.
How does that affect your quilting, or like do you have to kind of plan ahead for that? Like if you're gonna release a pattern, like do you kind of try to time it around
Um,
moves, or
trying to think whenever we moved here. I just took a few months I released a pattern, I think right before we moved here.
Hmm.
So then I kind of had a little bit of a break. And then I was, I guess, feeling very inspired. I wrote Mountain Valley, it's like one of the first things I did whenever we moved to Michigan. It's the first thing I made here was a wall hanging of that pattern.
Oh wow.
So luckily, you can design and write write the actual pattern part on the road. You can do that anywhere. And then I personally take my son, we put my sewing machine in the car with us. I don't let the movers take it. So I have my stuff.
Yeah. Right.
So yeah, it wasn't a huge, I did take some time off just moving across the country, but it wasn't like a huge, I don't know, setback, I guess. I don't know. Setback's not the right word, but
It wasn't like a big hiccup and everything. It was just,
yeah. I have some bigger stuff coming up next year, so I will have to make a better plan of how I'm going to do next year whenever we move, but I haven't gotten that far yet. So
yeah.
I have to figure out when we move first and where we go. So right now I'm not worrying about it yet.
Yeah, that's good. We have some time to kind of plan and organize. And I just, like, my husband he grew up military because both his parents were Air Force, and then his dad was Army after Air Force, and then he was Air Force. And so
Wow.
he moved around a lot, just his whole life. And I'm like, we're staying put. Like, we've moved a lot within Boise, but we haven't left Boise. So
Yeah.
I'm like, we don't have a reason to leave right now, so we're gonna stay in town.
Yes.
But
especially with kids.
yeah.
I didn't care as much before we had kids, but now that my kids are getting to be school age, I feel more of a pull to like, I really want them to have some stability.
Yeah.
We'll see.
That would be hard. And I think that is the biggest reason why we haven't left, is like, because they're my stepsons, so they're not mine, but
they're still yours.
They're still mine. I mean, I've been their stepmom for 14 years, so
yeah.
It's been a long time, but yeah, it's like we can't leave them.
Right.
Like, even though they would still be here, whatever, going to their own schools, it would disrupt their life of spending time with their dad and being at our house. And that's, with kids, it's like, and yeah. I grew up, like, I lived in 2 houses most of my life, so it's like
same.
So then the fact that, like, Abe and I moved around so much together before we moved into this house, I was like, okay, we need to find somewhere where we can just live for a while, because I'm tired of moving.
Yes, it's a lot. Moving is a lot. I think I've gotten good at it. It doesn't take me very long to get set up. I think once you set up the kitchen, everything else kind of falls into place. That's the first thing I do, is the kitchen every time.
It's like, once you can cook and, like, resume your normal living of, like, okay, I'm going to prepare a meal, I'm going to eat food. I think, like, the food space, when that is organized, like, everything, like, if I can feed myself, I can set up the bathrooms and the bedrooms and, like,
exactly.
Then I'll find somewhere to sleep.
Get the kitchen done, the kids' room done, and then my sewing room, and that's really all I need.
Like, I can sleep anywhere, it's fine.
Who needs sleep? It's I
don't know. I mean, I do, but it is what it is sometimes,
Yeah.
But I do miss having, like, I used to, like, take over the whole living room to sew, because there wasn't really anywhere else for me to set up to have, like, enough space to, like, have everything, my ironing board and my cutting station and, like, everything set up. And so I do kind of miss that, but it is nice that it is also, like, out of my space, because then I'm not like, I need to stay up till 3 a.m. every day sewing, and, like, it kind of gives me some separation from that. But there are times where I'm like, I wish I could be sewing right this minute, and I just don't really have a place to do it right now. And so it will be nice, I think, having that back, so I can do that upstairs if I need to. But
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's been interesting. This house has gone through a lot of like, changes of, like, where everything is and layout, and, like, we, like, renovated, like, we took all last summer and renovated the downstairs, and so everything was just a mess for a few months. But it was fun, and it was nice to be able to, like, leave that and go sew at my mom's house, and then back home. And so I don't know.
I have mixed feelings about it. So in this house, I have a separate space. I have, like, a whole room for sewing.
Oh, nice.
The last house did not have that, and so I sewed in the dining room and just took over, like, because it was a smaller space, and so it was just everywhere. So it was that was nice though, especially because my kids were, little then.
Mhm.
And so I could, squeeze in 5 minutes of trimming half square triangles here and like pressing some stuff there. And it was easy to do all day long kind of thing.
Yeah.
So here it's nice that it's separated in another room. It's all contained.
Mhm.
So it's not just overflowing in my house. The quilt just isn't everywhere.
Yeah.
But I didn't have to I don't want the kids in there because they touch things. And
Mhm.
so I have to set aside time. Like, okay, well, I can't just do 5 minutes here and there. I've got to go in there to do stuff. So
Yeah,
it's a give and take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would stress me out with tiny kids. Like, don't touch that. Don't touch that. Don't touch that.
Some things I don't mind. Like they like to play with the little wonder clips,
Oh yeah.
and that's fine. They make a mess, but whatever.
Yeah.
And then they like to put, if I have blocks out, to put them on the wall, and
Oh
it's also fine.
yeah.
I get tense when they want to touch the sewing machine, even if it's turned off. I'm like, they just want to touch it and push buttons, and I'm like, it's mine.
Like,
Shh,
oh
stop.
my God. Yeah.
Hands, go away. So
Yeah. We were like, my younger niece, she would like want to help us pin stuff, like pin the quilts onto the zippers when we were, getting ready to load it. And I'm like, this
Mhm.
would literally impale you. Like, she's like, just let me do it. And I'm like, okay, fine. And she'd get her little bitty fingers and she would just like get the pins in there. She did it. I was like, man, she's better at this than I am. What
There
the
you go.
And every once in a while she'll want to come up and practice sewing. She'll be like, can I help you do this? I'm like, yes, you can.
Oh,
But
that's fun.
it's still, I'm like, don't go over there. The iron is hot. Don't go over there because there's sharp blades. Like, don't touch that because it's gonna like.
I know.
She's like,
The other day I have a padded chair in there. I went and sat down. I'm like, what am I sitting on? My youngest had taken all of my straight pins and like stuck them in the chair. I was like, there you go. Kept her busy I didn't know what she was doing. She was being quiet. So I was only paying attention.
yeah.
Sticking all the pins in my chair.
Oh.
Yeah. So I've been to a lot of them sitting on it.
Yeah.
All right.
Usually when it's quiet, that's when they're the most dangerous.
Exactly.
Now you're sitting on pins. It's fine. At least they weren't like wrong, pointy side up.
That's true.
That could have been way worse.
They shouldn't sit and spill them on the floor. That also could have been bad.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I can't even tell you how many times we spill pins and I'm like, we have like a bunch of those magnet dishes. And so we just like go around.
Hover.
Like, yeah. Yeah. I'm like, every time it happens, we're both like, like, don't move. There's pins everywhere.
Like a warning label, warning sign.
Right. I can't imagine having like little kids around that because those things hurt bad.
Well, I have a baby gate up.
Oh, nice.
To keep the dogs and the kids out. It only works, I don't know, 8% of the time though.
You're like, I don't know why I even do this.
Well, my oldest knows how to open it, and so she will forget to close it. She'll come in to like talk to me or something, and then she'll forget to close it, and then my youngest comes in, and then that's just game over. So
I'm like, why do I try? That's so funny. Oh man, little kids are hilarious.
They're sweet.
Yeah,
they're sweet.
It's fun though. Like, I think just like them getting to see you create stuff, I think that was such an important part for me, like growing up, seeing my mom just like make a bunch of stuff, like all different things, and just having that creativity. And even though it took me longer to get to quilting, like, and sewing in general, I still like always have had a creative bug, and I was like, oh, I want to do that too. I want to create too. I want to
that's great.
make things. And so I just love that your kids are getting to see that from you, and hopefully that helps inspire them in their lives. And maybe it's not quilting, but
yeah, whatever it is, music or art or sports or whatever. Yeah
I think it just gives them the idea that like they can do something, they can be creative, they can use their brains and their bodies to do something cool. And I don't know, I just love that, passing that inspiration on. And
I hope so.
It's about to be,
I hope they're inspired.
I can only imagine that they will be. I mean, seeing you create such beautiful stuff, I mean, it's like, why wouldn't they be, you know? I
I know.
don't
Yeah.
know. That's so cool. I just want to thank you again for joining me today. I really appreciated this conversation and
Yeah.
love your patterns. And
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It was fun.
yeah, so let our listeners know where they can find you online.
I'm at Running Stitch Quilts on Instagram, and that's my website. And that's, if you want to talk to me, that's where you can find me.
Okay, and I'll link everything in the
Awesome.
comments or in the description so that people can get to you directly. But
Thank
well,
you.
thank you so much, Julie, and I can't wait to see your next patterns, and I can't wait to make more of your patterns. The one I have made was so fun, and you're a great pattern writer. So
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
yeah, thank you for contributing to the quilting community. And yeah, well, thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks, you too. Bye.
Bye.